These are the 5 things that nearly every successful person does in their 20s. No bullshit, straight to the point. If you do these things in your 20s, you will be successful. Hey, it's Kevin. Welcome to the video. I do videos on like inner alchemy to create a life and a business of your dreams. If you like that, you should subscribe. All right, so let's get into it. These are the 5 things that successful people do in their 20s. Number 1 is to invest in yourself. So you are always your greatest asset, but especially in your 20s, you've got so much potential, so many things that you can do, and there's so few things locking you down. You likely don't have a mortgage or a big family or tons of commitments. You've kind of got an open world to do whatever you want. You also control your own actions and where you want to go. And of course, this is a good and bad thing. You can make the wrong decisions and lead yourself down the wrong path, but you can also make the right decisions and lead yourself down a beautiful, wonderful path that only gets better in your 30s and 40s. So something I do all the time and I see other successful people do in their 20s is they're always investing in themselves. There's always reading something or learning something new or calling upon a mentor to teach them something. Because obviously you don't know everything in your 20s. You don't know everything ever, but especially in your 20s, there's so much opportunity and so many things that you can do. So it's that time that you want to absorb and let everything come in so that you can make decisions and go down a path that's right for you towards success. And the problem is that a lot of people don't do this because they think that investing in themselves feels like school. It feels like learning or memorization or something like that, but it doesn't. When you love something and you're passionate about it and you want to learn more, learning just kind of feels like fun. It doesn't really feel like work. There's not stuff for you to memorize. It's just stuff that you need to accumulate in order to understand so that you can get better. And if you take a look at the successful people in the space that you want to be successful in, I can guarantee you that all of them invested in themselves. They learned, they grew, they got better so that they could achieve the success that they have now. Number 2 is successful people take risks and start businesses. There's for sure no better time to take risks and especially start a business than when in your 20s. And a lot of people don't do this because they're afraid of failure or they're afraid of the bad things that could happen. But if you take a step back and you really look at the bad things that could actually happen, they're very, very minimal when you're in your 20s compared to later on in life, because you have so much more upside in your 20s than you do downside. What this means is there's more for you to gain from taking risks and starting a business in your 20s than there is for you to lose. And it's really important you understand what risks actually are and to get around the fear of failure. Because all it takes is for one thing to go right in your 20s for you to build on top of that. And before you know it, still in your 20s or even moving into your 30s, you can have a wildly successful business. You can have taken amazing risks. You can be way happier. You can have almost anything that you want, but it just comes from one little success that's built on top of the other. I've talked about this in my other videos, but failure is really only a failure if you end on a failure. So here's what I mean by that. If you fail 10 times in a row and you stop, that's a failure. You're gonna judge yourself and other people are gonna judge you for having failed. But if you fail 10 times in a row and on the 11th try you get a success, all of a sudden it's a win. It's a success. It's people don't see all the failure that led up to that one successful thing that you did. And the great thing about that is that success compounds. So once you get one success, it's easier to get the second and the third, and you can start to build on it. It doesn't mean that you won't still fail, but the failures are just like little lessons. They're little teaching lessons along the way that lead you to success. Because ultimately, if you go from point A to point B and be a success and you fail a little bit along the way, you still got to B. It doesn't matter that you failed or created mistakes along the way, you still got to where you're going. And I really think that this applies to starting a business because today it's the easiest it's ever been to start a business. There's so many people, even kids in their teens, that are starting $1 million businesses on YouTube and on the internet and with Shopify and Amazon to create unbelievable success, and they're doing it from a really young age. So I think it's super important that you take at least a little bit of a risk and a little bit of a jump in your 20s to start a business. You don't know where you could be by the time you're moving into your 30s. You could have the life of your dreams. And then just imagine what you could do. Your 30s are not the end of your life. Your 30s, you're still young, you're just getting started. All that compounds on each other, and you can make your 30s even better than your 20s. The third thing that successful people do in their 20s is they stay positive and they stay healthy. Staying positive is so important. I'm sure you've met someone who's successful in their 20s or later in life. If there's one thing that a lot of successful people have in common, it's that they stay positive, because they deal with so many challenges. There's so many difficult problems, and there's so much that they have to deal with, that the way to get through it is to be positive. And the cool thing about being positive is you're able to see like bigger, better opportunities because of it. You know, pessimistic, low vibrational, negative people don't see the little opportunities in life that end up being some of the biggest treasures. You know, there's so many opportunities that are just hidden in plain sight. They're the things that seem so obvious when you look back on them. And in order for you to see them, you need to be positive. You have to be looking at the world as this big, beautiful thing that can offer you unlimited creative expression, instead of this world that's taken something from you and that you need to get back at. And another thing that's really important that successful people do in their 20s is they realize that the journey is the way. It's not just when you get to the end of the road and look back on your life and say, that was awesome, I'm glad I did everything I did. It's the life, it's the journey of how you go from when you're young and you don't know anything to all the ups and downs along the way. The journey is the beauty in it. And when you have a positive mindset, you can actually fully appreciate that. Now, to go with that, staying like physically healthy is also something that's super important. There's just so many demands that you're gonna have when you're taking risks and starting businesses and doing cool, new, crazy things, that you need your physical body to keep up with you. You need to hold strength and nurture inside of you. With all that energy, you're able to push forward and do amazing things. So please take care of your body, go exercise, eat healthy foods, drink water. These are just simple, basic things that you can do, and it's easier when you get in the habit of doing them now versus later in life. Whereas if you don't go down this path and you make a lot of mistakes when it comes to your health, you're gonna have to spend time reversing them later on in life. Whereas if you just set up the foundation and do it right from the beginning, you won't need to spend all that time redoing it later on. So the fourth thing that successful people do in their 20s, and man, this is a big one, is you gotta stay humble. You have to be able to learn from your mistakes. See, your ego like thrives in holding you down. And one of the things that it does to keep you held down so that it feels like it's in control is it makes you seem really big and important. And the problem is when you do this and you approach the world like you know everything, is the world says, no, you don't, and it smacks you down. We've all seen those people, we've had those friends or been around other people that just have huge egos. They think they know everything. And when you look at them, whether you like them or not, look at their life. Look to see, are they really successful? Are they really doing great, amazing things? Are the people around them really looking up to them or looking down on them? If you can lower the ego within yourself and get down to a level of humbleness, you're able to see the world, but most importantly, your world and your life on the inside as what you need to do to get better. You can see your mistakes as learning opportunities instead of from ego that sees them as huge f-ups. A humble, open mind will achieve success quicker than a closed ego mind. An open mind and a humble mind also doesn't judge itself or label itself as a failure. It knows that it's already good enough on the inside, and it's just doing the work in the world to get where it wants to go. Now, the fifth thing that successful people do in their 20s is they network with other successful people. So groups of people like to be around each other. Successful people like to hang out with other successful people. This is obviously super powerful because successful people have successful ideas and conversations and opportunities for each other. It's like a positive feedback loop that just builds on top of each other. The more you're around those types of people, the more good things will happen in your life. I mean, you've heard the saying, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and that's exactly true. The people that I see doing really well in their 20s often hang out with other successful people in their 20s. It's one of the reasons why I think I'm successful, and I'm very lucky to have a great network here in Vancouver to bounce ideas off of and to talk to other successful people. So the question is, how do I hang out with successful people and how do you get around them? So the number one way that you can do this is to just build something, whether it's a company or a product or something that you can use to get in with other successful people. See, a lot of successful people are builders, they're creators, they love creating things, and because they're good at it, they get paid a lot of money for it. But at the heart, they're creators. What you can do, and this is exactly what I did to build the network that I have, is I built my first company and I was able to get a successful product and actually have customer feedback and build a website and get revenue and make my first $1 million. And then I was able to use that and say, hey guys, look what I did. Can you give me feedback on this? Can I talk to you about your company? So I came into it as I'm one of you. I wasn't going into these groups of successful people and begging for opportunities or showing them that I was less than them. Even though, of course, that's not the case, regardless of how much money I make. Successful people want to be around other people like them, and they don't want to have people that feel like they're taking from them. It needs to be like a mutual exchange. So with that, I was able to build something that they thought was great, and then I was able to come in and just talk to them at their level. Once you do this, you can build up amazing connections, relationships, and actually friendships. I mean, a lot of the people that I've either done business with or have talked to about business have ended up becoming some of my closest friends. So speaking of success, if you want to learn about the top 5 mistakes that I see a lot of people make in their 20s, I've got a video for it somewhere around here that you can check out next. But here's the thing, if you like this video, please give it a like down below and consider subscribing. I want to do more videos like this, so if you guys like and subscribe, it lets me know that you like the content and I'm going to keep producing it. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.